What if a seemingly innocuous encounter with a wild animal could rewrite everything we thought we knew about compassion and connection? Imagine a serene afternoon on the African savannah, where a giraffe, not just any giraffe, but one known for its remarkable gentleness, finds itself pausing in its tracks, witnessing a sight that would alter its path forever. A small boy, all alone, sits abandoned on the side of a dusty road, tears streaming down his dirt-smudged cheeks. What is it that compels the majestic creature to approach, defying instinct and the norms of nature? This is the story of an unexpected bond, triggering emotional ripples that would ultimately reflect back on us all. The sun hung low, casting a warm amber hue over the landscape, softening the rugged edges of life on the plains. The air was thick with warmth, the hum of insects buzzing in the background, and a gentle breeze stirring the branches of acacia trees. In such a tranquil setting, the incongruence of the situation was striking. Out of the wild and into the realm of the unfamiliar, the giraffe, named Mosi, wandered closer, its long neck craning down to peer at the boy. What was this boy doing here? No one should be alone in this vast expanse of wilderness, where danger lurked at every turn. For him, the emotions were overpowering fear, confusion, perhaps even hunger gnawed at his tiny frame. But as he glanced up, meeting the doe-like eyes of Mosi, something shifted. It was a moment met with hesitation, instinctual fear bubbling just beneath the surface, clashing with an instinctual longing for connection. This scene, against all odds, captured an intricately woven truth about empathy. Here was a boy vulnerable amidst the wild, eyes wide with innocence that begged for understanding. The giraffe, an animal that primarily feeds on leaves high above, stood as a sentinel in that moment, an unexpected guardian. This embodied the psychological concept of humane compassion, where the desire to help others, often triggered by witnessing suffering, transcends species boundaries. Renowned studies reveal that empathy can emerge in surprising contexts, driving altruistic behavior even from the most unexpected of beings. As Mosi bent closer, sniffing the boy's shoulder delicately with its soft yet curious lips, a silence enveloped them, laden with unspoken questions. The boy's heart raced, not in fear, but in awe, pulsing with the poignant realization that he was not alone. Would this unlikely creature, tall and graceful, offer solace, or would the unyielding grip of nature reassert itself? Could this connection tether their disparate worlds for just a moment longer? To our own experiences, this tale strikes a familiar chord. Many of us can recall moments of profound loneliness where we longed for comfort in places we least expected it, be it an unassuming stranger who offered a smile, or a friend who sat in silence, providing warmth. The simplicity of those connections often brings exuberance or joy, while simultaneously invoking an inner turmoil. The boy understood this moment well. His life had been a series of hardships, each heartbreak echoing loudly in his vulnerable heart. A lost parent, a shattered home, and now the vast savannah stretching out, cold and indifferent. In that instant, nothing mattered more than the gentle giant standing before him. Mosi, sensing the deep sorrow radiating from the boy, took a slow step closer, the rhythmic motion of its legs tranquilizing the air. It was almost as if the giraffe could read the boy's soul, its long lashes fluttering like whispered promises of comfort. At this juncture, one might wonder, how can a creature so profoundly different from a human extend such unconditional compassion? This moment speaks to the broader conversation on the psychology of empathy, where we often underestimate the emotional intelligence found in animals. Animal behaviorists have documented instances where species, including elephants, dolphins, and even dogs, demonstrate a remarkable capacity for empathy, reflecting deeper emotional comprehension that can challenge our perceptions of intelligence across species. As the sun dipped lower and painted the sky with strokes of orange and red, Mosi drew nearer still, lowering its long neck to align its vision with the boy's tear-streaked face. With an unhurried elegance that only a creature of such stature could possess, the giraffe gently nuzzled the boy's small frame. The sheer magnitude of that gesture resonated beyond words, a visceral connection that enveloped Tunde in warmth, no longer just a silhouette against nature's backdrop. He felt seen, understood, embraced in an extraordinary moment of clarity. However, as the boy began to find solace, the tranquility of the scene rippled dangerously as an unexpected thunder echoed across the horizon. The gathering clouds signified an impending storm, heavy with the promise of rain and a rejuvenating cleanse. As if responding to this tumultuous news, a cacophony of sounds began to emerge from the backdrop of trees, a warning cry from surrounding animals sensing the upheaval. Tunde stiffened, torn between relief and paranoia. What if predators were drawn out in the chaos of the storm? What if Mosey, despite its gentle behavior, could not protect him? A battle of instinct and emotion spiraled within him, a tug-of-war between trust and survival. The world around them began to shift, dust swirling into the air as wind swept across the savannah, whipping the branches overhead into a frenzy. Would Mosey stand firm, or would nature's raw power serve as a stark reminder of the harsh realities that govern their existence? In that critical moment, a question loomed larger than life itself. What would happen next when the fear of abandonment clashed harrowingly with the impulse to seek comfort? As the storm brewed overhead, Mosey remained an unwavering figure, its presence stretching toward the fleeing horizon as if embodying a promise of safety. Would this gentle giant's defiance against the creeping shadows coax Tunde into courage? Nature often delivers lessons wrapped in adversity, a chance to unlock potential hidden within the bonds we forge. Tunde's heart pounded louder than the thunder, a sonorous anthem that encapsulated his confusion, longing, and an unyielding hope. The stories of those who have traversed the wild speak to this very journey of self-discovery. Time and again, we observe how moments of vulnerability can emerge amid storms, much like the phoenix that rises from the ashes. The boy understood instinctively that life could change with a single decision, a single act of bravery. Would he trust in the kindness of an animal he had only just met? Would he risk his heart once more, even amid a world threatening to tear it apart? Just as the first droplets of rain began to fall, an exceptional scene unfolded. Mosey, so tall and dignified, resonated a symbol of resilience. The giraffe shook off the concerns boiling under the surface. The dance of droplets on its neck was a testament to survival amidst fear. In that singleness of purpose, Tunde witnessed the embodiment of courage, an unwavering commitment to stance, a metaphor for facing the storm with ferocity and grace. The sun dipped lower now, a sliver of gold disappearing behind the encroaching storm clouds. The call of the wild filled the air, an orchestra of survival poised to challenge the very essence of hope. The boy was seized by a profound instinct. He needed to rise above the chaos. It was visceral, a movement surging from the depths of his soul, latching on to the courage of the preacher beside him. As the downpour intensified, Tunde hurriedly climbed to his feet, driven not just by fear, but by an awakening sense of agency. Feeling the rain splatter against his skin, he understood it was more than just an environment change. It was a call to action. How would he face the approaching storm, both externally and within? Mosey, perhaps sensing Tunde's dawning determination, shifted its stance. With every stroke of its elongated neck, it seemed to beckon the boy closer, inviting him on a journey of exploration that mingled trepidation with a scintilla of optimism. In a world so often marred by abandonment and neglect, Tunde couldn't help but let hope seep through the cracks like the rain upon the thirsty earth. But then, with a deep rumble echoing across the land, a crack of thunder illuminated the sky, striking an instinctual chord in Mosey. The graceful giant lifted its head sharply, nostrils flaring as if warning Tunde of the impending peril. The lush grasses began to sway, a breath of anticipation coursing through nature. In that electrifying moment, Tunde faced an impulsive thought. Would he succumb to fear, retreating in search of shelter, or would he rise to the challenge, standing right before him, united with this gentle creature? Every heartbeat echoed louder against the cacophony of the rain as they prepared together for the deluge. In that exhilarating blend of emotions, fear, courage, hope, they stood on the precipice of an uncharted journey. The savannah buzzed with uncertainty, trembling beneath the weight of the storm, churning possibilities that awaited them in the unknown. Would this alliance between a boy and a giraffe thrive amid the chaos? What lessons lay in store for them as they ventured forth into the wild, with each crack of thunder resonating as both a warning and an invitation? Tunde felt the rain intensify, soaking him through, drenching him in nature's chaotic embrace. Mosi's gaze held steady, bound by an unbreakable connection, an alliance sealed not just with companionship but with courage, inviting a new chapter fraught with both peril and promise. It was in this moment, as the world around them transformed and merged in a riot of sensations, that the story of Tunde and Mosi truly began to unfold, but testament to the bond that can emerge between species, a narrative woven atop the grand tapestry of existence, forever reminding us of the resilience of the spirit in the face of nature's relentless trials. The storm was just a prelude, and the next gust of wind carried whispers of the adventure that awaited them both. A convergence of destinies, tethered by an unbreakable thread of empathy and courage. What happens when the gentle giant of the savannah, a giraffe named Mosi, finds itself faced with a crying boy, alone and abandoned in the wild? Can the bond forged in a moment of vulnerability lead to something extraordinary? When we last left our story, Tunde had just decided to rise to the challenge alongside Mosi, embracing the rain that drenched them both, signaling the onset of an adventure that promised danger and discovery. But as they prepared to step into the unknown, the question lingered. Could the unexpected union between a boy and a giraffe survive the trials that awaited them? The storm intensified, a whirlwind of emotions mirrored in the tumultuous sky. Raindrops fell like staccato beats on the dry earth, transforming the parched landscape into something vibrant and alive. It was as if the world itself held its breath, waiting for the outcome of this unlikely pairing. Tunde felt the adrenaline course through him, igniting a spark of courage he never knew he possessed. He could rely on Mosi, who stood tall and steadfast, a living testament to resilience. In that instant, everything shifted. Fear transformed into a heady concoction of excitement and determination. As they moved together, Tunde found solace in Mosi's gentle presence. The giraffe, with its graceful gait and expressive eyes, became a symbol of strength and safety. Each step they took echoed the age-old tale of survival, where the weak must ally with the strong, a dance choreographed by nature itself. This harmony between boy and beast began to erase the boundaries of despair, weaving strands of hope into a tapestry that would soon reveal its significance. But darker clouds loomed on the horizon, and the winds carried whispers of a distant danger. Tunde's heart raced as the ensemble of nature crescendoed, an orchestra of calls reverberated through the bush, warning of impending threats. Predators were drawn by the thunder, their instincts sharpened by the storm's turmoil. Tunde remembered the stories he had heard about lions and hyenas. Their ruthless hunt, a stark reminder of the thin line between life and death that governed the wild. And just as their journey unfolded, a piercing growl echoed through the cacophony of rain. The unmistakable sound of a lion's roar rumbled from behind, sending a jolt of fear coursing through Tunde's veins. Mosi froze, sensing danger lurking in the swirling shadows. A whisper of caution passed between them. This was no longer just an adventure. It was a test of survival. In a world that often separates the realities of human life from that of the wild, we often forget the profoundness of instinct and intuition shared across species. Numerous studies in animal behavior illustrate that even the gentlest of creatures can exhibit a fierce protective nature when faced with danger. It is no different for Mosi, who now understood the stakes of their unforeseen partnership. As the lion's growl resonated again, Mosi instinctively turned its long neck toward Tunde, herding him closer. It nudged the boy gently, urging him to keep pace with its long, powerful strides. Instincts kicked in. Their survival depended on Mosi's ability to navigate through the treacherous landscape and Tunde's resolve to trust in the giraffe that had become his unexpected ally. The rhythm of their steps synchronized, an unspoken harmony emerging in the chaos, a dance of connection amid the storm. With each step Mosi took, the ground trembled slightly beneath its majestic weight, a harbinger of the choices they would soon face. Tunde felt the tremors coursing through him as the distance to the sound of the predator closed in. Panic surged, battling against the burgeoning trust he had placed in the giraffe. Would it be enough? Could this unusual bond withstand the unforgiving forces of nature? But in that shared moment of fear, when the unknown loomed like a shadow over them, a flicker of insight emerged. The essence of compassion and connection transcends fear. It's a binding element that illuminates even the darkest circumstances. For Tunde, the lessons learned during his brief encounter with Mosi began to crystallize. In the face of adversity, strength often arises from the most unexpected places. And perhaps, just perhaps, this alliance could alter the very course of fate itself. As the roar of the lion grew nearer, they rounded a thicket of trees, and Tunde spotted the flicker of movement just beyond the foliage. A pride of lions lay sprawled, illuminated by flashes of lightning that flickered through the downpour. The largest lion, an imposing figure with a mighty mane, surveyed the surroundings with a predatory gaze. Instinctively, Tunde pressed close to Mosi, sensing the giraffe's incredible power but also aware of the peril they both faced. It was in that heart-stopping moment that Tunde recognized something profound: the courage it took to confront one's fears, to stand unwavering alongside a companion. Regardless of their size or stature, the giraffe had chosen to protect him. That bond, forged in unity of purpose, held the power to overcome even the most formidable of foes. A palpable silence hung tense in the air as the boy and the giraffe locked eyes, each imbued with a quiet resolve that surged between them. The pride had not yet spotted them, and instinct surged through Mosi's long legs, carrying them deeper into the thickets, weaving through the dense brush. Tunde could feel their pulse align, the rhythm of their hearts sinking in tandem as they navigated the thickets. Inspiration flowed between them, guiding their every move. Just then, a shadow darted from behind. A lioness, sleek and stealthy, emerged from her hiding spot. The tension peaked as she narrowed her gaze, alert to their vulnerability in the storm. Mosi stood tall and firm, a statue of defiance amid the chaos, reaching the pinnacle of its physical strength. The flicker of fear in Tunde's heart ignited a depth of empathy for the creature that had become his shield, reminding him of the essence of loyalty, of fighting alongside those we love, no matter the odds. In a flash, the lioness lunged forward, but Mosi was already prepared. With an agility that belied its size, the giraffe pivoted gracefully, its long neck swaying like a pendulum as it aimed a swift kick towards the predator. The lioness stumbled back, disoriented by the giraffe's unexpected defense. Tunde gasped, both terrified and exhilarated as Mosi rose to the challenge, embodying the very spirit of their partnership forged in trust. Social psychology teaches us that adversity often shapes not just individuals, but the very connections between them. The willingness to defend one's companion in the face of danger is an archetype as old as time itself. In that electrifying moment, Mosi stood as proof that vulnerability could become strength through unity. The bond forged in fear had blossomed into courage, defining a new trajectory against the forces of nature that loomed. With adrenaline pulsing through their veins, Tunde clung to Mosi's neck, reinvigorated by a sense of belonging. Together, they dived deeper into the heart of the brush, the scent of rain mingling with the vibrant aroma of the earth, an exhilaration boiling beneath the surface. They could escape. As they darted through the dense undergrowth, a profound realization struck Tunde. The wild had caught him that connections could emerge in the unlikeliest of circumstances, illuminated by moments of vulnerability and raw emotion. The storms of nature mirrored the storms of the human experience, often filled with peril, but rife with opportunities for growth, change, and profound connection. But as Mosi surged ahead, gaining speed, Tunde spotted a glint of movement from the corner of his eye. Realization dawned. Another lion from the pride had flanked their route. The echo of heavy-footed thuds grew louder, and the boy's heart sank as the world spun into chaos again. Panic clawed its way back into the edges of his mind. In the midst of confusion, Tunde felt the urge to scream, a cry for help against the merciless reality of the savannah. But would Mosi hear him above the cacophony? Yet in that powerful moment, the giraffe's instincts soared, its eyes narrowing with determination. It refused to let fear dictate the narrative any longer. Mosi began to circle back, creating distance between them and the lurking danger. The giraffe's towering height granted them a perspective on the chase unfolding, seeing the lions as more than mere predators, but guardians of the balance of life that governed the wild. This extraordinary connection radiated through the vibrations of the earth beneath their feet, a powerful reminder that, in the wild, fear can burn very brightly and yet transform into fierce protection. Just as they had found a moment of reprieve, light broke through the thick clouds, illuminating a narrow path leading deeper into the grove of trees. A sense of courage infused once more in Tunde's heart, urging him onward. Perhaps they could escape after all. Together, they plunged forward, weaving between branches laden with rain and leaves, emboldened by the bond they had forged. But then, out of nowhere, an all-encompassing silence fell over the world. For a split second, uncertainty locked their muscles rigid, rendering them momentarily paralyzed. What lay beyond? The feeling of being watched hung in the air like a thick fog. They were not alone still. The pride was not far behind. Then they heard it, the unmistakable sound of paws padding quietly on the wet earth. Mosi raised its head, scanning for any sign of movement. The instincts of the wild surged within them both. The sense of impending dread returned, knotting tightly around Tunde's throat. Suddenly a lion lunged from behind the trees. The encounter had come full circle. The world erupted into chaos once more, a whirlwind of raw power and instinct swirling around them as Mosi positioned itself to protect Tunde at all costs. The roar that erupted from the proud beast resonated like thunder in Tunde's ears, echoing the very essence of survival itself. With the weight of the moment upon them, Tunde felt a surge of hope swell deep within. This journey had transformed him. No longer merely a lost boy, he had become part of something greater than himself. Fear had ignited a fire in his spirit, the light of resilience shining boldly, reflecting back out into the darkened savannah. The stampede of action surged around them, enveloping their shared resolve as lions and giraffes danced a primal dance, one that would imprint itself onto the very fabric of nature. Mosi took a bold step towards the growling balls of fur, defending the boy who had once felt abandoned. At that moment, Tunde knew that come what may, their journey together had redefined survival, a vivid exploration of trust, courage, and the surprising beauty found in the intertwining of fates. As rain continued to pour from the heavens, the world faded around them, leaving only the relentless heartbeat of the savannah, echoing their unyielding connection. Fear and hope wove together like a tapestry, charging forward as they faced the unknown. What awaited them in the shadows? Would resilience and unity prove triumphant against the ferocity of nature? Or would the vulnerabilities of their alliance come crashing down? With each moment, they ventured closer into the wild, standing upon the precipice of uncertainty, intertwining their destinies for all to see. Would the bond between a boy and a giraffe withstand the crescendos of chaos around them? The storm was far from over, and the consequences of their fearless defiance lay just beyond the horizon, shrouded in mystery and anticipation. As Mosi roared defiantly against the torrent of fate, what lay ahead would undoubtedly reshape their journey deeply and irreversibly, sparking new questions about the capacity for empathy, a willingness to protect, and the incredible power of the connections that can bind us all together. What does it mean to be vulnerable, and how far can an unlikely friendship take you when faced with life's fiercest challenges? With a mischievous twist of fate, the gentle giant of the savannah and the embodiment of grace finds itself poised to change a boy's life forever. Our tale picks up as the atmosphere crackles with tension, and the bonds of connection are destined to be tested. When we last left Tunde and Mosi, the rain had begun to fall, transforming the dry earth beneath them into a slippery playground for chaos and an orchestra of nature's power. The giraffe, driven by its instinct to protect the boy abandoned by the side of the road, had become an unexpected ally. Together, they ventured into the heart of the wild, with nothing but a shared sense of determination and a storm looming ahead. The dense brush pressed against them, the scent of petrichor hanging thick in the air, signaling change, a profound metamorphosis triggered by the storm that mirrored the emotional tides within Tunde. As thunder rumbled overhead, Tunde's heart raced, not just from fear, but also from exhilaration. In that raw moment, it was clear. Their destinies were intertwined in a journey sparked by resilience, camaraderie, and mutual survival. But fear spoke with a powerful voice, urging caution, and the weight of reality lurked just behind the curtain of bravado. Why is it, after all, that some creatures can forge bonds that seem to defy the laws of nature? Animal behaviorists have documented extraordinary connections across species, illustrating that social connection isn't confined to domestic animals. Studies reveal that even in the wild, mammals, birds, and other creatures exhibit empathy when confronted with another's suffering. This phenomenon is not just a curious quirk, it's a survival mechanism, a shared evolutionary trait. As raindrops pattered against Mosey's long neck, Tunde understood that acceptance was key. He drew strength from the grandeur of his gentle protector. Mosey was not just a giraffe, it became a living symbol of protection. Nature often reflects profound lessons when we least expect them. Emotions manifested in wild places create powerful allegories that teach us about the importance of connection amid vulnerability. Navigating the thicket became a test of their bond, still lit by a flickering hope. Each rustle of leaves, every crack of thunder, became their backdrop as they fought to escape the shadows lurking just behind the trees. Tunde could feel the pulse of life around them, heightening his senses and igniting his understanding that every breath held a promise. The giraffe moved gracefully, yet with purpose, forging a path forward not just to evade potential danger, but to invite possibility into their delicate relationship. But then, from deep within the underbrush, came the unmistakable sound, a low growl, potent and echoing with the wild's harsh reality. It sliced through the air like a knife through flesh, sending vibrations of fear coursing through Tunde's veins. Did Mosey sense it too? The awareness glimmered in the giraffe's expressive eyes, a realization that danger approached from the depths of the storm. In that moment, Tunde's reality shifted. The safe haven he once thought he could create alone now rested in the hooves of an animal he had only just met, a sentient beast whose very existence weaving courage into the fabric of Tunde's own resilience. It was in this overwhelming swirl of adrenaline, combined with vulnerability, that Tunde summoned his strength. He could no longer just be passive, he needed to embody the spirit of survival. As the growl materialized into the form of a lion, perched like a king over its domain, Tunde felt a gut-wrenching realization. Here was the embodiment of nature's indiscriminate cruelty, an entity fiercely powerful and blinded by instinct. Yet right beside him stood Mosey, its towering frame a barrier against the threats that loomed. It danced in the edge of fear and protectiveness, embodying the very essence of the balance between predator and prey. Social psychology teaches us that our responses to fear can manifest markedly in times of crisis, either fight or flight. Tunde, despite being just a boy lost and alone on this wide savannah, felt a change swell within him. He was no longer just Tunde. He was a bearer of courage, a shield alongside Mosey, and this effervescent connection acted as their greatest advantage. For a fraction of a second, the lion met Mosey's gaze. And in that minuscule slice of time, the language of nature unfolded, verbalized through a series of subtle movements and vigilant glances. The vulnerable giraffe lowered its head, powerful muscles coiling beneath its long, slender legs. It emitted a deep rumble that echoed through the dusky air, a warning sound against the primal roar of the predator. Mosey, embodying resolve, stood firm. That moment was charged with a visceral tension. It was more than just a standoff between two creatures of the wild. It encapsulated the age-old struggle between fear and connection. Tunde tensed, not wanting to yield to the weight of impending doom. Instead, he leaned close to Mosey, his unexpected protector, and felt the animal's heartbeat throbbing through its skin. This alignment of spirits showed him that survival was never meant to be a lone endeavor. As if sensing the boy's fear, Mosey responded by inching forward. The lion took a step back, reverberated by the giraffe's unexpected tenacity. In that moment, Tunde understood deeply an essential truth. Often, it takes sheer courage to unify disparate forces against adversity. Some bonds form, not from similarity, but from shared struggles. Suddenly, with a calculated leap, the lion lunged, its movements fierce and predatory. Time stretched like an elastic band, the world blurring around Tunde. But within that whirlpool of motion, Mosi reacted, raising a powerful front leg, pivoting in an act of elegance and force that startled the king of the jungle. The lion narrowly missed its intended target, thrown slightly off balance by the giraffe's unexpected agility. In that swirling chaos, where instinct reigned supreme, Tunde's heart raced. Science has shown that in stressful situations, adrenaline floods our systems, sharpening our focus, even as fear compels flight. It was this crucial transformative moment that ignited something bold within him. Every heartbeat screamed, this was a moment reborn in fire. It propelled him not toward flight, but to action. As Mosi kicked back, the giraffe planted its hooves firmly, using its long neck to push back against the flank of the predator. Tunde realized he needed to be part of this moment too. He couldn't just be passive. Courage is sparked by standing firm, regardless of size or stature. With a resolve that surprised even himself, Tunde called out to Mosi, an unintentional battle cry, something instinctive that unintentionally echoed the heart of the savannah. A symphony of courage came alive, uniting boy and giraffe as they faced the formidable challenge together. Their connection ignited a flicker of hope, crystallizing in the storm's chaos, enveloping them in its warmth. The two sides danced with danger in a wild, chaotic ballet. As the lion recalibrated, trying again to regain its stance, Tunde became acutely aware of how fear can whip us into a frenzy or birth unprecedented bravery. Any thought of being abandoned or lost faded. There was life to be seized and courage to amplify in the midst of the battle. As the sun began slicing through the tumult of clouds, casting a golden hue even across the chaos, Tunde sensed their trajectory sharply shifting. With renewed purpose and an instinctual understanding, he hung on to Mosi, riding the waves of momentum stirred with every pulse of defiance. The giraffe's movements radiated a fierce determination that coursed through Tunde's veins. Together they became an unstoppable force, a testament to the transformative power of connection forged in struggle. Then, plunging forward with a surge of energy, Tunde felt the world stutter. The lion lunged again, bearing razor-sharp teeth, intent on claiming territory, igniting pure survival instincts across all parties involved. But Tunde understood. He couldn't let fear be a barrier any longer. As the lion leaped, the boy launched himself too, grasping at the thick fur along Mosi's neck and steering them both toward the dense underbrush with a courage that felt almost surreal. As they narrowly escaped the lion's grasp, something extraordinary happened. The emotional undercurrent between boy and giraffe solidified into a shared essence. The raw blend of fear, resolve, and exhilaration morphed into an electrifying connection that illuminated their path forward. Tunde watched in awe as Mosi's incredible strength poured forth, dancing smoothly through the brush, with a grace befitting the skies they now chased. In the backdrop of thunderclouds still rumbling, Tunde's heart swelled with gratitude. They stumbled into a clearing. The sun dipped low, casting radiant beams that danced upon rain-soaked grass. The juxtaposition of light and dark culminated in a profound moment of truth. They had not just survived. Together, they had thrived against the odds. But just as they breathed in the fresh air, a realization seeped into Tunde's consciousness. A question loomed large. What awaited them now? Would their bond endure beyond the chaos? And as if nature sensed that uncertainty, a powerful roar broke forth, rumbling from the distance, a reminder that life in the wild was never truly free from danger. The lion was still near, and its pride was closing in. What would it do now that they had crossed its threshold? Tunde felt the weight of reality press against him as he turned, locking eyes with the resolute giant at his side. Their journey teetered on the precipice of the unknown, a dance with fate that would either solidify their bond or tear it apart. Could courage and unity withstand the realities of nature's design? What awaited them in the uncertainty that lingered, looming large like the towering forms of ancient trees on the savannah? This bond, birthed in vulnerability and tempered through turmoil, now hung delicately on a thread. In this very moment, Tunde held his breath, ready to forge ahead into destinies aligned in the wild, facing the gravitas of uncertainty head-on, as clarity edged closer by the second. As light waned and shadows stretched, the ties that bound them would soon be tested once again in ways none of them would expect, revealing truths about loyalty, companionship, and the powerful capacity of kindness that define existence itself. What lay ahead in the folds of this untamed wilderness? Each heartbeat echoed a profound question. Could the spirit of friendship endure against the will of the wild? The answer loomed just beyond the horizon. What if the most powerful connection could be forged in an instant between a boy and a creature that towers over him, not through words, but through an unshakable bond of empathy? In our ongoing tale, we find ourselves at a cliff's edge, where the gentle giant of the savannah, a lofty giraffe, stands protectively over a vulnerable soul, an abandoned boy named Tunde. Just moments ago, the symphony of rain and the growl of predators crescendoed into a life-or-death moment. What happens when curiosity and courage collide in the wild? As the turmoil of the storm raged on, the very landscape around them echoed the transformation already taking shape within Tunde. Mosi, the giraffe, exuded a powerful presence, standing as a bastion against the impending dangers that loomed ever closer. Their journey had suddenly become a quest for survival, not just against nature, but against their very fears. With the lion's roar still resonating in Tunde's ears, he had to grasp this moment. The connection between boy and beast had evolved from mere coincidence to a powerful alliance. As they ventured deeper into the thickets, the world around them pulsed with life. Every rustle in the underbrush, every droplet of rain landing on thirsty earth carried a weight of significance. Tunde felt the fear coursing through him, but alongside it was an unusual thrill that transformed his panic into empowerment. He was no longer just a boy left to the whims of fate. He was an integral part of this wild narrative. Psychology reminds us that the act of facing our fears can often empower us, and with each stride alongside Mosi, Tunde felt himself grow, not in stature, but in spirit. But the dangers of the savannah were not merely whispers of a distant past. They were all too real. The lion's growl had summoned a primal instinct inside both Tunde and Mosi, urging them to defend their space and one another. Yet what made their bond extraordinary was not just the urgency of survival, but the recognition of a shared vulnerability. For Tunde, the giraffe had become more than an ally. It was a guardian, an unwavering presence amidst the chaos. In the wild, nature often mirrors the complexities of human emotion. Tunde remembered tales of how animals come together to face threats, not just for survival, but as a testament to the strength of compassion. Birds of prey, when confronted with danger, often band together, showcasing that unity can flourish even in the face of adversity. Mosi stood as the embodiment of that very lesson. Powerful, graceful, yet gentle enough to nurture a fragile spirit. With renewed purpose, they pressed onward, but the shadows grew longer, and uncertainty wrapped itself around them like the damp mist of the approaching night. As they navigated through the thick trees, a sudden rustle sent chills shooting down Tunde's spine. He turned to Mosi, whose eyes revealed depths of understanding, as if sensing every ounce of Tunde's trepidation. In that gaze, he found a flicker of comfort, as if the giraffe was urging him to push beyond the walls of fear. But then, it happened. A lioness, sleek and powerful, leapt into view, cutting across their path like a knife through the darkening shadows. The air crackled with tension. The very fabric of their existence hung on a precipice. Mosi's long neck raised instinctively, the giraffe standing tall as a beacon of strength, ready to protect the boy who had unknowingly embraced this journey alongside it. Time slowed as the lioness approached, her intentions veiled in the instinctual dance of predator and prey. A sense of dread crept into Tunde's heart, each beat resonating with the weight of survival's gravity. But in this moment of looming fear, Tunde felt an awakening. He would no longer be a bystander in his own life. He clung tightly to Mosi, and together they prepared to face what lay ahead. It is in moments of fear that human beings often discover their true selves, a concept deeply explored in combat psychology. When confronted with life-threatening scenarios, people tend to tap into reservoirs of strength previously unseen. Tunde was beginning to realize that this wild ordeal had awakened something primal within him, a fire ignited in a world he had thought would only bring despair. As the lioness advanced, Mossy took a defensive stance. With unexpected agility, the giraffe kicked back, swiftly defending their territory. The sheer audacity of that movement shocked Tunde, revealing that even the most gentle of creatures can harness an incredible strength when faced with an imminent threat. Social studies show that displays of protectiveness are often more pronounced in creatures facing danger, and in that instant, Tunde bore witness to the truth behind that theory. With adrenaline surging, Tunde acted, instinctively urging Mossy to dodge to the left and steer away from the advancing lioness. They danced amidst danger, each movement a testament to their developing synergy, a beautiful choreography born from necessity rather than design. It was an exhilarating reminder that in facing fear together, they were uniting forces that transcended their individual existences. As they escaped the clutches of the lioness, the scenery morphed from treacherous thickets into a clear expanse, with the muted glow of twilight casting a serene glow over the land around them. Breathless, Tunde clung to Mossy's neck, his heart racing with the thrill of survival. The wild had not yet relinquished its challenges, and yet they had overcome something significant together. Trust forged in the crucible of fear. Yet, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the reality of their situation set in anew. They had escaped one threat, but the savannah was dotted with dangers lurking in every corner. The air grew heavy with possibilities, each breath tinged with the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Tunde turned toward Mossy, their bond deepening with every passing moment, and felt a surge of gratitude. Science has shown that gratitude can change our perspective and enhance our psychological resilience. It allows us to reframe situations, encouraging us not only to endure, but to thrive amidst uncertainty. Tunde sought to harness that power, embracing both his new reality and his unusual ally, a creature that had emerged as an unexpected pillar of strength. But the night was still young, and the narrative was not yet finished. Sharp eyes were still watching from the shadows. Tunde and Mossy could not afford to relax, not when the power of the savannah still loomed outside their fragile sanctuary. Deciding that moving forward was their best chance, they pressed on, embodying the courage drawn from their bond. As they continued on their journey, the sky above darkened, and the stars flickered into existence one by one. Tunde felt small under this vast tapestry, yet something profound whispered within him. The universe was reminding him that even the tiniest of souls could resonate with grand purpose. Just as the interconnectedness of the cosmos assured life would move forward, so too could Tunde and Mossy navigate this ever-changing wilderness together. Suddenly, against the soothing murmur of distant crickets, a terrifying roar shattered the night, a reminder that danger was never far behind. Tunde's heart pounded. He could feel Mossy freeze beside him, the giraffe surveying the surroundings as the heavy vibrations of power echoed through the landscape. The danger was not over, it had merely shifted, much like their fates had intertwined. Relying on instincts honed over countless generations, Mossy's body coiled with potential energy, ready to respond to any new threat. In that moment of stillness, Tunde realized that this bond had transformed into something remarkable. An alliance that could redefine the meaning of family in this unforgiving wilderness. They were protectors of each other, and each heartbeat represented a promise, a commitment to stand together, united in purpose. Yet as the moment stretched, Tunde's imagination raced. Could they safely find a place to rest? Would they be able to weather the storm of danger that lingered? Or were they destined to be trapped in this game of survival forever? Questions loomed above, like the myriad stars that dotted the endless sky, each twinkling light a reminder of the uncertainties that lay ahead. Just then, the rustle of nearby leaves broke the stillness as multiple silhouettes broke through the trees. A chilling gasp escaped Tunde's lips when he recognized the shape. They were not just any creatures. They were lions, the same pride that had roamed their territory earlier. Anger, fear, and immense awareness flooded through his body. This was the moment. This was the confrontation that could change everything. Mossy stood strong, unyielding beside him, ready to take whatever steps necessary to protect their fragile bond. The lions approached, eyes narrowed, muscles coiling in anticipation. The world around Tunde seemed to shrink. Time itself constricted into a tight ball of tension. He could sense the conflict brewing, anticipate the drama unfolding with each paw that grazed the soil. And then it happened. One lion, seemingly the leader, let out a resonant roar, enveloping the space in an extravagant display of dominance. Tunde felt the vibrations travel through him almost like thunder, shaking his core. Who had the power in this situation? Would strength, usually crowned by might, dominate the bond they'd drunk from in their shared bravado? Mosi made a choice then, stepping forward just as Tunde's mind raced. This moment would not only determine his fate, but transform the very essence of what it meant to be vulnerable yet strong. In that heartbeat, courage took center stage. Tunde understood it wasn't merely survival he needed to fight for. It was the essence of what he and the giraffe had built together. At that pivotal moment, Tunde found his voice, rising above the primal fear coursing within him. He called out to Mosi, and then he turned to the pride, understanding that a bond of understanding could be more powerful than the threat they represented. Would they view him as an enemy, or find a way to diffuse the tension that simmered between all of them? Tunde's voice resonated with raw determination as he spoke words that had been forged on the anvil of experience and connection. It echoed through the savannah night. We are not here to fight. We are just trying to survive. Share this space with us. The sounds hummed in the air, vibrating with a current of unproven hope. The tension expanded and twisted, awaiting a response. As the prides of lions hesitated, Tunde felt the energy shift. Mosi remained steadfast, a symbol of loyalty, while Tunde learned the emotions that connections can stir. This communion, this intense moment, could turn into a ritual of understanding and vulnerability. Or it could meet a fiery end. Only one thing was certain: the next moments held the power to shape their destinies forever. And so, as shadows danced and uncertainty loomed, humanity stood at the threshold of the wilderness, intertwined in a narrative greater than any individual, a quest for survival enshrined in the fragile power of connection. And in that electrifying silence, they awaited their fate, teetering on the edge of an unwritten destiny. Would understanding overcome adversity? Or would lessons linger unlearned in the wild heart of nature? What drives a creature to risk its own safety for the sake of another? In the wild, where survival often reigns supreme, we often assume that instinct alone governs behavior. Yet, in this extraordinary tale, a seemingly mundane encounter is poised to challenge that narrative. As the sun dipped below the horizon, illuminating the savannah in a golden hue, a massive giraffe named Mosi stood tall, peering down at an abandoned boy named Tunde, whose cries echoed through the mounting tension of twilight. Mosi, with his elegant frame and long neck, possessed a curiosity that many might not attribute to his kind. It was this sense of awareness that brought him back to the roadside where he had stumbled upon Tunde, weeping alone in the stark wilderness. What was it about the boy that stirred something deep within the giraffe? It might have been the tears, or perhaps the quiet vulnerability exuded from a small figure against the vastness of the landscape. In that moment, there emerged a fateful connection, a thread of empathy that would ignite an unbreakable bond. As Tunde's sobs subsided, he glimpsed Mosi's towering silhouette against the backdrop of dusk. It wasn't just a fearsome creature. It was an unexpected ally, a gentle giant. In psychological terms, this phenomenon can be understood through an attachment theory lens, where connections often form in response to trauma and shared experiences. Research shows that in times of distress, we are drawn to those who exude a calming presence, like magnets seeking stability. With cautious optimism, Tunde reached out, his trembling hand brushing against Mosi's warm, spotted neck. This unspoken dialogue between the boy and the giraffe was a beautiful testament to that raw bond, revealing the powerful interplay between vulnerability and compassion. Here lay an opportunity for healing, a chance for both to navigate their contours of loneliness together. It's fascinating how moments of profound connection can occur in the most unlikely of circumstances. The reality of human-animal interactions demonstrates that emotional attachments do not belong exclusively to humans. Animals too possess the capacity for empathy, sensitivity, and the ability to forge bonds. This was evident as Tunde felt his pulse steady, comfort blossoming in the shadows of despair. Mosey became a lifeline, bridging the chasm between boyhood pain and the sanctuary found in companionship. But the looming reality of their coexistence soon crept back into view. Night had settled in, darkening the landscape and encapsulating them in an uncertain world where unknown threats lurked. Tunde understood the savannah's unpredictable nature. Danger could strike at any moment. Just as they began to bond, the shadows were cast by predators hungry for an easy target. The very notion invoked a chilling sense of urgency, a reminder that survival instincts were tethered to both them and the larger ecosystem entwined around them. Acclaimed ecologist Dr. Jane Goodall once articulated that nature is an interconnected web of relationships, each thread significant, each interaction critical. In the heart of the savannah, Tunde and Mosey found themselves within such a web, determined to navigate the dangers that crept from the fringes. Their story had shifted from isolation to an alliance, a transformation fueled by mutual vulnerabilities and emotional exchange. With the sun's last rays retreating from the horizon, Tunde felt an overwhelming sense of protectiveness. He couldn't shake the chilling thought that a predator could end their fragile connection at any moment. This primal fear surged through him, igniting a new determination, a promise not just to survive, but to safeguard each other. As dusk transformed the world into shades of gray, the landscape bloomed with the songs of night. Though Tunde was a boy abandoned by the roadside, he had been granted an unlikely bond, a relationship with a creature that refused to be simply a passive observer of life. Their fates intertwined, they stood resilient together, an embodiment of unity in a world that often dictated survival in isolation. The moment felt poignant against the vast canvas of the night, a formulation of bravery woven into intricate patterns of desperation. As they meandered deeper into the stirring wilderness, the sounds of the roaring wind seemed to echo Tunde's internal struggle. Emotional resilience, like that of the mighty oak standing tall against the fiercest storms, isn't born in calm clarity. No, it is cultivated in the eye of adversity. Tunde felt this truth wrap around him, stronger than any cloak of despair, pushing him to fight. Risking everything, he turned to Mosey, surrendering to the trust that had fomented between them. They continued forward, striving to carve their path, navigating the twists and turns of the savannah's hidden dangers. Tunde whispered promises into the stillness of the night, promises that he would not let fear overwhelm them. Then came the unmistakable sound of heavy footsteps. The ground shivered beneath a formidable presence. Tunde's heart raced as he glanced upwards, meeting Mosey's watchful gaze once more. The giraffe's sense of awareness seemed to pulse through Tunde, granting him courage as they prepared to confront whatever threat lay within the shadows. Nature had a rhythm, and with every pulse came the tenuous balance of life and death. And there it was, a lion emerging from the depths of the thickets, its sleek body moving fluidly, muscles rippling as it approached. Just as Tunde thought he might falter, he felt Mosey shift beside him. A protective umbrella unfurled from the gargantuan figure. The lion paused, noting the unique duo standing its ground. There was tension, an electrifying breath caught between predator and prey. But in that moment, suspended in time, nestled between fear and courage, Tunde grasped Mosey's neck tighter, feeling the warmth of the giraffe radiate against his own trembling skin. Here lay a fascinating intersection of evolution and emotion. Both boy and giraffe no longer viewed themselves as merely survivors, but as fighters unwilling to yield. Psychological studies indicate that facing fear can lead to remarkable growth, a truth echoed in the resilience shown by both Tunde and Mosey. The bond they had forged within the fabric of despair held the power to intimidate even the most formidable foe. Could their shared experience manifest themselves into a powerful message of connection that transcended their current predicament? Moments ticked by like hours, the standoff woven with uncertainty. The lion's gaze shifted, seeming to assess the unusual alliance before it. Tunde's heart raced, a storm of emotion churning within him. Did the lions sense their union, the power of companionship entwined with courage? The giraffe remained unwavering, its slim frame holding the strength of entire worlds, standing guard over Tunde's innocence. The fears coiled in Tunde began to dissipate, replaced by a profound understanding of unity, the realization that they could face danger together. As if responding to that silent promise of solidarity, Mosey stepped forward, tall and fierce, beneath the watchful gaze of the king of the jungle. The air crackled with the electricity of possibility. Their combined presence challenged the predator's assumptions of dominance. Tunde felt a surge of hope course through him, a blossoming strength that could only be drawn from solid connection and shared vulnerability. Then, in an unexpected twist, the lion retreated slightly, the power of empathy that coursed through the air, temporarily dulling its predatory fervor. The very act of bravery exhibited by both Tunde and Mosey unmasked a different truth, that strength could emerge from the most unlikely sources. Even in the wild, understanding and respect could navigate the waters of survival, crafting a bridge across the chasms of conflict. It was a profound truth that resonated throughout history. The balance of relationships often dictates the equilibrium of ecosystems. In that moment, beneath the ever-expansive African sky, an unwritten pact seemed to form, a respect born from shared struggles, a recognition of the interconnectedness inherent in all beings. But just as the air began to calm, the lion suddenly turned, a haunting roar echoing into the colors of dusk. Was it retreating, or was it merely plotting a different approach? Instinctively, Tunde pulled tighter against his newfound friend, prepared for the next chapter. The vastness of the surrounding wilderness echoed with foreboding. The savannah still cradled untold secrets, hidden battles yet to unfold. Eyes wide, Tunde gazed into the distance where the lion disappeared into the darkening night. The adrenaline coursed through him, a harsh reminder that in this world, adversity is an ever-present reality, always lurking. He wondered just how fragile this connection was, and whether they would remain untouchable even against the tide of danger still waiting to emerge. Mosey, bearing witness to Tunde's unyielding spirit, pulled away from the shadows, slowly, cautiously leading him into the safety of nearby thickets. In doing so, Tunde felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over him. Their bonds had transformed through this trial, forging a shared tenacity that no predator could shatter. Yet, as they ventured deeper into the underbrush, a low growl erupted nearby, sending the hairs on Tunde's arms standing on end. Something stirred in the darkness. Were they truly safe, or was the savannah merely inviting them into a different realm of danger? Tunde felt time halt once again, heart pounding, fear and resolve hurtling through their shared existence. What came next? Would they encounter a deeper challenge that tested the very limits of their newly formed connection? Could the unity of their spirits transform the narrative being written beneath the stars? The shimmering night whispered stories yet untold, the air alive with possibility as they stepped toward an uncertain future. A future fighting to define itself in a world where danger lingers in the shadows, and the bond between boy and giraffe was more than just a rescue. It was a journey of survival intertwined with the strength of unyielding companionship. And so, against all odds, as the night expanded around them, Tunde and Mosey ventured into the unknown together, hearts beating as one, two souls brave enough to challenge fate itself. The wilderness awaited, full of surprises and adventures yet unseen, and it was here that the true test of their connection would unfold, on paths only they dared to tread. What happens when two worlds collide, one of innocence and vulnerability, the other dominated by instinct and survival? As we journey back into the heart of the savannah, where a crying boy named Tunde sits abandoned on the side of the road, we are about to discover that incredible bonds can form in the most unexpected places. Moments ago, we witnessed a towering giraffe, Mosey, draw near, sensing a connection that would challenge everything we know about empathy and survival. This story is not just about a boy and a giraffe. It's about the profound ability we all have to reach out across the chasms of loneliness. Mosi's lengthy neck stretched gracefully as he bent down to investigate Tunde, who sat huddled against the unforgiving earth, tears streaming down his face. At this moment, the giraffe didn't just see a boy in distress, he perceived an opportunity to forge an unlikely alliance, one that would call to the very essence of what it means to be alive, and crucially, what it means to care for one another. This encounter encapsulates a deep psychological truth. Humans possess an innate ability to empathize with others' pain. Studies even suggest that witnessing another's suffering activates the same regions of our brain that react when we ourselves are in distress. In this merging of emotions, Tunde found solace in the reassurance of Mosi's presence, a powerful reminder that vulnerability can be met with kindness. As the golden hues of sunset painted the savannah, Tunde felt an unexpected surge of warmth from Mosi. It was a profound interaction that went beyond mere survival. It was a moment deeply rooted in the shared experience of existence, the innate understanding that they were both searching for a place of safety, a sense of belonging, began to crystallize within Tunde's heart. But the calm serenity of this initial connection was suddenly shattered. The low growl of a lion echoed through the thickets nearby, sending tendrils of fear spiraling through the air. In that heartbeat, Tunde's world shifted once again. What was once a moment of solace now transformed into an urgent fight for survival. This was the pivotal moment that would seal their bond in ways neither anticipated. With instinct honed by evolution, Mosi's posture shifted from curiosity to defense, his towering form casting a protective shadow over Tunde. The giraffe had recognized the looming danger, and in that split second, a psychological phenomenon took shape. Roles were reversed. The instinct to protect and nurture surged forth from Tunde, urging him to act not just as a scared boy, but as a partner in this urgent alliance. In psychological terms, this moment aligns with the concept of reciprocal altruism, where individuals help one another with an expectation that the favor will be returned in the future. A dance of survival had begun, two disparate lives intertwined against the perils of the animal kingdom. Against the backdrop of dusk, Tunde reached for Mosi's long neck, feeling the warmth radiate from the gentle giant. He pressed his face against its soft patches of fur, intuitively whispering reassurances, not just to the giraffe, but to himself. "We can do this." This powerful mantra held the potential to ground them both. The growl intensified, and panic surged through Tunde. He could sense the predatory instincts of the lion, juxtaposed with the gentle spirit of Mosi. According to social psychology, shared crises can enhance bonds. Tunde, fiercely aware of the stakes, realized that he and Mosi were now a united front, an embodiment of courage ready to confront whatever lurked in the shadows. The unfathomable love born from connection, empathy, and the will to survive surged through the air, transforming fear into resolve. Then, suddenly, from the corner of his eye, Tunde caught a glimpse of the lioness figure slinking closer, its predatory gaze fixed on the duo. The lion's back rippled with latent power, muscles coiled, as if measuring the distance between conquest and retreat. Surely, it perceived Tunde's presence not merely as a boy, but as potential prey encapsulated in the aura of vulnerability. In a wild world, this was the relentless dance between hunter and hunted playing out before them. But just as despair threatened to consume their fragile sanctuary, Mosi responded, stepping forward with surprising grace and poise. The giraffe faced the lion, a majestic challenge against a fearsome foe. Tunde felt the universe constrict around them. The trees grew still, an audience to the brewing tension. This moment crystallized his understanding of bravery, not as a lack of fear, but as the choice to act despite it. A powerful realization blossomed within him. The giraffe was not just a gentle companion, but a mighty guardian, standing tall against the ferocity of the predatorial threat. The iconic psychologist Brené Brown beautifully articulates that vulnerability is not weakness, it is the birthplace of courage. Tunde had discovered the essence of courage blooming from vulnerability. He was part of Mosi's fight, and Mosi was part of his. At that moment, Tunde's heart raced with a dual pulse. Fear intermingled with admiration stirred within him. Together they were forging not just the bond of friendship, but a pact of survival. Steeped within the rich tapestry of life that thrived on the savannah, Mosi's fierce stance bewildered the lion, who seemed caught off guard by this unexpected coalition. Could it be that the sight of this brave boy and towering giraffe challenged the lion's primal instincts? Just then, Tunde spotted the movement of other lions lingering at a distance. Fear still draped over him like a cloak, but something powerful began to stir within. Suddenly, without warning, the lead lion charged forward, eyes locked onto Tunde, challenging him directly. Mosi firmly planted his feet, and Tunde instinctively crouched low, trembling, his breath hitching in his throat. In that adrenaline-fueled moment, everything hung in balance, the fairest of fights unfolding in ways one would scarcely anticipate. What happened next would change the nature of Tunde's understanding forever. Mosi let out a low rumble, the echo of his immense presence rattling the air, while Tunde whispered a silent plea for strength, and then it happened. A miraculous surge of willpower propelled Tunde to rise alongside Mosi, standing defiantly in the face of their pursuer. This was more than survival. This was unity crystallized in the name of existence. Empirical studies on group dynamics underscore that when faced with threats, those under duress might find remarkable resilience through solidarity. What Tunde and Mosi were experiencing was not simply an instinctual reaction. It was the elevation of mutual purpose encapsulated in a heartbeat, a vivid encounter of two living entities reaching for courage, hoping against hope. With a roar that reverberated through the earth, Mosi lunged forward, not as an act of aggression, but as a warning, asserting their territory. The lion hesitated, confusion flickering across its fierce facade. In this unexpected moment of bravery, Tunde understood something profound. Their strength was in their companionship. "We are not alone," he thought, feeling the flames of determination rise within. Unfolding around them, a strange dance of fate, layered with vulnerability, began to weave itself into the night, defying the laws of the wild. The lion, recognizing the unexpected resoluteness in this peculiar pair, retreated slightly, pondering the peculiar stance of the boy joined with the giraffe. Was it possible that this union commanded more respect than fear? At that moment, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The remaining lions, observing this standoff, began to lose their momentum. They exchanged glances, almost questioning the integrity of their own ferocity. This was no longer merely a confrontation. It had metamorphosed into an exploration of untapped capabilities. What if nature, in all its complexity, revealed that strength arises not from mere dominance, but through unexpected alliances? In the quiet that followed, tension slowly slipped away, replaced with a profound sense of unity. The animals sensed it, instinctively recoiling from the burgeoning bond of boy and giraffe. It was a gripping reminder of how communication transcends even the most primal of instincts, a lesson in connection that arose from vulnerability. But just as relief washed over Tunde and Mosi, a chilling howl echoed from the distance, sending shivers down their spines. Another danger lurked in the shadows, a reminder that nightfall held many secrets. Was this a fleeting safety, or merely a pause before the real storm? The air grew thick with uncertainty. Tunde felt the ground shift beneath him as he pondered what awaited them next. Could their bond withstand another test? Would they be caught unprepared in the never-ending struggle for survival? As they momentarily steadied their breaths, an overwhelming realization dawned upon Tunde. They had already created something remarkable, a connection forged through moments of bravery and mutual respect. It was in that unity they found solace, empowerment, and most importantly, hope. The wilderness had tested them both, and they had emerged stronger. Yet something lingered in the shadows. A sense of foreboding crackled through the air. As Tunde and Mosi stood together, hearts beating in synchrony, they knew that the night's true challenges were far from over. The savannah stretched endlessly before them, fraught with uncertainties and threats unknown, an untouched canvas begging to tell their story. And so, the stage was set for yet another pivotal chapter in their unfolding saga. With the echoes of danger trailing in the dark, they were poised on the cusp of an adventure that blended the essence of survival with an awakening bond a journey that was only just beginning. As the night shrouded the landscape in ambiguity, the boy and his towering companion looked forward, ready to challenge fate and carve their path in the wild world around them. This was but the first fire of many yet to be ignited, and the question remained: what profound trials awaited them on the horizon? What discoveries would emerge from this tentative alliance amidst the thrilling tapestry of life and danger? Their adventure had only just begun, and destiny awaited. In the heart of the savannah, under the watchful eyes of the night, two souls forged together now entered the unknown, ready to discover the extraordinary potential hidden within their bond.